Hey Faith Family, welcome to the Beyond Sunday podcast at Calvary Bible, where we go beyond the Sunday sermon to explore some rabbit holes and to bring some biblical truths to the surface. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Calvary Bible Church, welcome back. Pastor Randy's scrolling on his digital phone. I can't hear his pages turn.
I know.
I don't know when he's there.
I'm there.
Are you in Matthew?
I am in Matthew 23, beginning at verse 13.
Okay.
With seven sad woes.
All right. Well, now that the pages have settled down, I know you're there. We can all breathe easy. But let's get to a joke first.
Cool. You're going to do one?
I got one. Why did the girl pig break up with the boy pig? You got to know your animals a little bit here.
So, the girls, sow.
You're on the right.
Boar, curly tail.
You're doing really well.
I'm not going to get it.
No, you had it. He was you said the word.
A boar.
He was a boar. So she broke up with him. You don't want to be a boar.
No. And you wouldn't want a husband to call his wife a sow either. So I'm just saying, that doesn't sound good either.
No. Heavens to Betsy, no.
My. That was good.
Yeah, thank you.
Very sad.
Thank you. It is sad. Just a little pig joke. Gotta love our pigs.
Little piggy.
All right. So heavy passage. I mean, he's not mincing words here. Now, but who is his audience? I don't remember you addressing that. Did you? Because the audience is interesting here too, I thought.
If you go back to, I think you have to go back to verse 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then Jesus said to the crowd and his disciples, do you, I don't know if you picked any of this up, but are you imagining the Pharisees and the scribes are in the crowds in the midst?
They are, because of the direct, the shift to, but woe to you. That shift in language says that they're, and I joked about this on Sunday with our Care and Share group. I made reference to, somebody asked a question and I said, well, the way it is in The Chosen is on that series. I don't know if you're watching that or it's probably stopped for a while, I guess, until they gear up another one. But so if you are watching something like that, you can see that by this stage in Jesus' life, he's under careful scrutiny by the religious leaders. So yes, when he shifts to you, but woe to you, he's now, he has religious leaders right in the crowd.
Yeah. Anytime he's out in public, I'm imagining
now
and if he's talking, they're listening.
Especially in the city. Because he's going to, this coming Sunday, Lord willing, I was just thinking about that, where, oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets and stone. That's going to continue that previous discussion where we ended actually on Sunday with the righteous blood being shed on earth and killing all the prophets from Abel all the way to Zechariah. But I believe that they are in the crowd. And verse 13 begins the direct address to them. Yeah,
and like I started out saying, he's not playing game. The blows are coming. He's not holding anything back. The word hypocrite. I mean, is there a word that like stings more than that? No one likes to be called a hypocrite. It doesn't matter what culture you're from. That's it. It cuts. Hypocrisy, which was a large part of the conversation, the sermon on Sunday.
Especially that first point.
Yeah. My question to get us going is, what's the difference between a hypocrite and just a regular old sinner? Because aren't we all hypocrites in some ways?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who it was Rich Redkay, and I was making contact with him a little bit during the message. He was off to my right, about 5, 6, 7 rows back. And so after it was over, we met on the side there just for a moment. And we both, I said to him, please tell me you're not a hypocrite, right? And, we smiled and we both agreed we fight against it. And I think for somebody like Rich Redkay, I think he's genuine. He comes across very genuine, clear about his sin and so forth. I think regular sinners, they know their sin. Mm-hmm. In this particular story, not story. Well, it's part of the narrative, but the teaching part of this, when Jesus addresses them near the end and condemns them, it says their claim condemns them. They say that if they were back then, they wouldn't have killed the prophets, and they're right in the middle of doing that. It just really struck me as like they are blind, mm-hmm. blind guides. I mean, there's the word for them at this point. They can't even see it. So I think a sinner is someone who knows that they need forgiveness from the Lord. A hypocrite is someone that continues to want to focus on I'm going to use the word, the main lexical term that I kept coming across in all of these lexicons was pretender. And so the difference between a sinner and a hypocrite is a sinner admits their sin and goes to God with it and to others, confessing their sin one to another, according to James. But the pretender continues to go about life as usual. Things are okay. And it looks that way on the outside, mm-hmm. but they don't admit it. And again, one of the key images from the ancient world about this term was that they were play acting. That's one of the other key lexical definitions. It's a play actor, an mm-hmm. actor that plays the role of something else. And so, I mean, if you're one of the ones like us, we watch television shows and movies and blah, blah, blah. So you're always seeing actors pretending to be someone else that they're not. Yeah. That's one of the primary differences. The sinner is not playing a role of being righteous. The sinner is admitting mm-hmm. unrighteousness with a view towards healing. Whereas the pretender does not, something like that.
Okay, so because I think oftentimes when we think of a hypocrite, a simple way that I've thought about it or heard it defined is someone who says one thing and does the other.
Yeah, they don't match up.
Yeah, and that's where I see hypocrisy in my own life, where it's like I say I believe this, but my actions say otherwise. Yeah, But I'm also, as I inspect my own heart, and we all need to, like I'm not trying to do the wrong thing. You know, I'm not trying to act out Christianity in public and then in private think the exact opposite. Yeah. So there's not a dualicity, you know, in my life. Whereas I think like in a hypocrite's life, it's just, you know, they're one way here and they're another way here. They're acting's a helpful metaphor.
You and I are in one of these scenarios where just think about how tragic it would be if Rebecca said in her heart, honestly, to some other lady, if she ever confessed and said, Jonathan's one way at home, but he's a different kind of person at church. That would kill you. Honestly, it would. And it would kill me too. And so, you know, every once in a while, Michelle will affirm the fact that what they see at church is who I am at home. And I thank the Lord for that. There's no self-righteousness in that. Otherwise, that ruins the whole thing. But what you were saying, it was 2 Sundays ago. Remember at the start of the chapter, the scribes and the Pharisees sit on Moses' seat. So do and observe whatever they tell you, but not the works they do. There was your, that's your.
Do as I say, or do as they say.
Yeah, but not as they do. That's certainly the start of that hypocrisy coming out, a description of it. And then the word itself starts in 13. He first addresses in that first woe. So,
more of a comment that came in, but before we get to that, you know where I think it's easiest for hypocrisy to slip into someone's life? I think as a parent. I think when you're parenting your children, you have expectations for them, and you say one thing, but then it's very easy as a parent, because you're the one in the authority to like, not live that out in your own life. And like I see that, like I think we justify it as, well, I'm the parent, and I'm raising these children. I'm trying to do it the right way. But then, we don't have anyone in our home as parents who are, looking at us and saying, that attitude's not the best right now. I don't have someone in my home disciplining my attitude at certain moments. And so I think that's a place where hypocrisy can subtly, live if we're not careful. So anyway.
Yeah. And if you and I are talking about the uniqueness of the home, you take the home combined with church through all the years, and when the kids are little in particular, there's that strong tendency, that knee-jerk reaction that is worried about what is someone else going to think if they see the young person do this or that. And I mean, real young ones, when they're running around and, what in the world, the pastor's kid's running around in church. Why doesn't, so I remember having to work through all of the thoughts of that thinking about the externals and how does that look versus, what might be more important on the inside. So, But I'll just tell you, there's no doubt this is a big deal, because when I asked for a show of hands, did you happen to take a peek of how many hands went up when I said, if you guys ever experienced someone talking badly about the church or bailing on church because of hypocrisy? Wow. I knew it was going to be a lot, but I didn't think it was going to be 75, 85% of the church seeing that and experiencing that. Wow.
Yeah. I
so
think
hypocrisy is
there's
a lot.
a DC Talk song that has like an interlude moment. Do you know what I'm referring to?
I don't, but
okay. You're
just
shaking your head like
DC Talk.
Yeah. So there's a song, I can't remember the one. It's on one of their great albums that someone says something to the effect of hypocrisy is the greatest, killer of the church, or the number one reason why people don't, go to church. And goodness, there's no way for us to really know, but if that's the case or anything close to it, then that's unfortunate. Because we're called to be ambassadors. For Christ, and if we're not doing that well, we're keeping people on the outside.
Oh my.
So with that in view, so this is a comment that I'll ask you to comment on. Someone wrote in and said, I wonder if the reluctance of believers to be transparent can in part be attributed to the general attitude of the church toward those who either confess or are known because of their sin. If I know I'm going to be judged by the church, then it's just best to be quiet. Look at Mary Magdalene and the reputation that followed her as a result of her past. And then an example, I remember an elder in a church who confessed his addiction to pornography, and the reaction of the church, which resulted in ostracism and judgment rather than the putting one's arms around a brother, as I mentioned on Sunday morning. And so, in fact, the church could be a contributing factor in the hypocrisy that exists within its own walls. Thoughts, comments?
Well, one of the comments is for anyone to treat a sinner that way, and there's other nuancing that can happen with this. So I'm not going to delve into every possible way to think this through. But at least the main thing for Beyond Sunday is to realize that the religious leaders, and remember I've been saying, we share so many of their tendencies. That's why God said, let's put a lot of biblical real estate together with interaction between Jesus and them for the church. So one of the main things is, if I treat another sinner that way, that is a self-righteous stance. That's not coming from a humble man who realizes his own brokenness, his own sin. That is a holier than thou attitude. So that's my first comment is, yes, I think that a self-righteous Pharisaism and judgmentalism has always been in the church, and it's always been a destructive force among the people of God. And people who are judgmental and don't fight against that, people who are self-righteous, they will only condemn, and they will never seek healing themselves because they don't need it. They're self-righteous. So it's a trap, I think, that's a part of church. So that's my first thing. The second thing is that, and again, just take the term, fundamentalism as a movement has often bred this. Fundamentalism as a movement has often bred this, I forget the images that are used, kicking a person when he's down or something like, so I grew up in the movement, was trained in the movement. I've seen it, and so I'm telling you that is part of that atmosphere. I am positive it's not intended. I am positive that leaders in the movement would be appalled that it's a part of them, but it's a reality, and it seeps into the church as well, where we are quick to kick those who are already down.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Give me a quick definition, 20 seconds, no more, of fundamentalism for those who are unfamiliar.
I was just going to put it this way in this conversation. Fundamentalism, its foundation is built on making sure that things are good and right, including doctrine, which is so admirable. But in so doing, since they make everything black and white, good and bad and all that, it often becomes more ruled based, and unfortunately, the attitude towards righteousness is not conducive to healing broken people. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I appreciate it, especially the ending there, because I think the doctrine side of things and the black and whiteness of the fundamentalist history, is one thing, but the what it's unable to produce, or maybe where it comes up short, is that, how you said at the end, it's not conducive to healing broken people, because they're just kind of cast off and kept at arm's length and made to feel guilt and shame that Christ took away at the cross, and a failure to recognize, I may not have sinned in the same way or have that same story, but doggone it, I'm still a sinner, and we're in the same camp.
And you go back to that comment. So once again, if you just think about that being the atmosphere that's sort of in the air, we talk about what's in the air we breathe, and it's not, you don't only find it in what's, quote, called a fundamentalist church. You can find fundamentalism of that stripe everywhere. And, but the bottom line is, what it comes down to, for me personally, it's always been, I want to be clinging to the fundamentals of the faith. I want that. That's the good part of being a fundamentalist. There are doctrines that we hold to. We hold to them tightly.
Yeah.
But I think overall, though, we do not want to focus so much on a kind of righteousness that is not real. So go back to what you said on Sunday was so helpful. Whenever your segment was at the start of it somewhere, and I said I was hearing so much of the Elder Work Weekend come out because we were talking about how hard it is on us that we know there's hurting people, but we don't know. We don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And we don't have an opportunity to help them because we don't know who they are. And so the ability to create a church where we can be honest amongst ourselves about our plight, that we all need to come to worship every Sunday, giving ourselves over to God, reaffirming it, almost every Sunday being a covenant renewal service where we come to God in our brokenness. We know that He loves us, that He's forgiven us through Christ, and that His Spirit is transforming us. There's no room for hypocrisy. It pushes it out because we're not playing games. We're not playing a role. We're not playing a part. We are sinners saved by grace. I mean, that's who we are. So.
Yeah. No, that's great. One thing I wrote down on Sunday was that hypocrisy blocks brokenness. So to go along with
that's a great comment.
With what you were just saying there, if we're trying to pretend or act like we've got it all together, then it just prevents us from being broken. And if we're not broken, or at least admit our brokenness, then we can't be helped, or no one knows that we need help, or an arm around the shoulder, or whatever it might be.
That's a great comment. Yeah, I like that. Hypocrisy blocks brokenness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking along the lines of hypocrisy, thwarts healing or prevents healing or something. We just, you're never going to heal. No. If you're playing that game, if you're trying to be self-righteous, and if you're not willing to admit you need to change and be changed by God.
Yeah, and may the Lord be merciful and put that to death, right, in our lives, because it's such a small and subtle thing where we feel like, I don't want to burden anybody with my problems, and then maybe it becomes a little prideful or whatever it is. Yeah. But I mean, I was thinking, none of us are more than a couple of steps away from being where the scribes and the Pharisees were, where, we can slip into that trap, and then, I don't know, just be hypocrites. Yeah. Look like we've got the cup on the outside nice and clean, but on the inside it gets dirtier and dirtier. And we just do a lot of damage to the reputation of not just the church, but to Christ. And I don't know. Any comments in closing about either that or kind of where we are and how this is playing into the kind of conclusion of Matthew's gospel? Yeah.
So I was just scrolling to get to 33 to 36, because one of the things that I'm not sure I hit enough was the reason why you have to take 7 woes and turn them around. Remember, woe to you, Pharisees, because you do this, 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 and this. And we said, turn that around so that genuine, sincere disciple making occurs as we flip the script on these 7. Well, the reason why that's important is because we can't share their character traits and the way in which they go about ministry. So we can't have their same heart that leads to a particular kind of hypocrisy in ministry where they're the best ministers they had in that day, but they are hearing, you serpents, you brood of vipers, how are you to escape being sentenced to hell? So I didn't do as much on that as I could have, maybe should have, but please remember that the reason why we combat these things as a genuine Christian, which I did talk about, is so that we do not hear this pronouncement. And I know I did say that. I did say you do not want to hear. I don't want to hear woe to you, Randall. I want to hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant. So it's critical beyond Sunday to make sure that we are doing away with, there weren't 7, there ended up being 6. And I'm thinking more than likely, you're going to erase one with me. Take away the last one, which is, I don't see you as killing the prophets. That's not how I see a parishioner in our church dealing with hypocrisy, going to this level. However, I will say this, that if you do not fight against the hypocritical tendencies of the remaining 5, okay, because one was combined, looking good on the outside, but you clean the outside of the tomb or the cup, but the inside is terrible. So let's go to 4 now, right? Did I do that right? 6. So we're down to 5. Okay. This is important.
Feels like algebra now.
Yeah. So you have 5 hypocritical tendencies, and we want to fight against them all, because at the end of this section, we are right in the thick of heavy judgment text. So you and I were joking the other day. Now you're going to be preaching on the 17th, and you've got that tremendously easy text to handle. So when you see the abomination of desolation,
Let's go.
you have that.
Yeah.
But are all around this, starting with this chapter 23,
Yep.
all this, and this is probably why you're asking this, and if I don't get it, you can follow up. But this whole section is pronouncing impending judgment on the people of God. And we know from Peter's epistles, for instance, that judgment has to start with the house of God. And so what we're going to do through these weeks, and you'll have to tackle it as well, when we get to these other texts that are coming, God is announcing judgment on his people unless they turn. And so for us, we're going to continue to deal with, let's make sure we are prepared, because as I was working yesterday and we'll be working this morning again, chapter 24 continues to go into, okay, now all of these, let's see, is it starting in chapter 24? No, for it'll start at 37 of the last chapter. Jesus continues to discuss the killing of the prophets, including himself. And then he moves into, at the end of the chapter, on blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. And then what follows is repeated references to his arrival, but his arrival is going to be including judgment.
Yeah.
So we have to be prepared. And if you were going to say, well, how is this functioning for the church? So see that no one leads you astray. That's a big one, because the escalation in deception will continue. And then also, as you go down through this, he says, make sure that you're ready. As we looked at, as I scanned this text that's coming, more than once, strong deception is talked about, but then also making sure that we're ready for the coming, of the Lord. So
yeah, it's just been heavy conversations that Jesus has been in now for chapters.
Yeah.
And it's not getting lighter anytime soon.
No.
So the tension between the religious leaders and Christ and his disciples is thick, palpable, and it's building.
They're running out of time. Don't I say don't forget that. We both need to remember this, because when he gets to verse 42 of the next chapter, therefore stay awake, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. So there's what are these worship responses coming? We have to be on guard against deception, and we have to stay awake so that when he comes, he will not be coming for us in judgment. He'll be coming for us for complete deliverance. So it's a great day for us. We're the ones listening to this text and putting these texts into practice as worshipers.
Yeah. Yes and amen. Thanks for not being a bore.
I know.
See what I did there?
You did really well with that.
Full circle.
So inclusio.
That's intentional.
It's beyond Sunday, baby.
It is. All right, everyone. Thank you. Love you. Appreciate the time, the questions, and just the relationships, friendships are good. If you have questions for the podcast, you can email them to podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, you can email podcast@cbcmj.com. How about that?
Do they come through?
They do.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, we got a good one this week.
Excellent.
So they're helpful. Keep sending them our way, and we will keep tackling them to the best of our God-given abilities. That's how we say yes.
That is how we say yes.
Say yes. Yeah, ministry fair was great.
You guys did a great job putting that thing together. Whoever put that thing together, that was really well done. The decorations, the tables, the signs. Yeah. And I don't, if it was you, thank you. But the folks that were around there, I did a little walk around, and everybody was really doing well. And I loved the traffic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of the signups were healthy.
Yeah.
So
I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't.
well, take some of it.
Pretty
well done.
The ministry leaders, though, I mean, they deserve.
They stepped up.
Yeah. Well, and they didn't just step up on Sunday. They step up all year round.
I know.
And are serving and leading really well. And we're grateful for the body.
Great work
doing what a body does.
Yeah. They do work hard, boy.
Yeah. I got to wait for a whole nother year till it happens again.
Say yes, you mean?
Yeah. That doesn't mean people can't serve or start serving in the meantime.
Right.
So there's that. All right. That's good. You happy? You look thrilled. Whoa.
It's my happy face.
I see you guys.
Thanks again for joining us on today's episode. And remember, our Sunday sermons are meant to lead us to a life of worship beyond Sunday.